right, welcome everybody. Today here we have the privilege of being at Edgar Valdivia's house, one of the most important persons in the dragon fruit community. In fact, I tentatively have given him the title the King of Pitaya. So we're gonna ask him a few questions about what dragon fruit means to him, and maybe how he got involved in this movement. And we'll let Edgar take it from there. So Edgar, how did you originally get involved in dragon fruit?
The way I got involved actually is very funny. Many years, I think 12 years ago, when I first saw the first dragon fruit, and that time the name used to be pitaya, was a red. I confused the fruit. I didn't think it was the flower. I didn't think it was a red flower and was actually the fruit. That's what the first time I saw it. And then I met Paul Thomson,
Wow.
that he introduced me to the pitaya, and I will say Paul Thomson was my mentor in starting me involved in pitahayas. By that time, Paul Thomson, he worked almost uh, 8 years in pitayas, and he developed quite a few types himself. So that's how I started, because I got cuttings from him. And I planted those plants in here, but the problem was that my area is too cold. So I planted in a very protected area, so they will protect it from the cold weather. You know, Simi Valley gets, in winter, the weather goes 26, and in summertime goes 105. So, and the pitaya, you have to understand, is a semi-tropical plant.
Right.
So needs humidity and needs a special type of weather. My city is too hot and too cold, and I am growing my plants with shade to protect them from the sun, and the shade protect them from the cold weather too. The shade that I use is 25%. So I started growing pitayas like that. Then I got very involved because I realized that the most pitaya that was most common was the Vietnamese type, but the Vietnamese type don't have too much flavor. It was kind of a dull, not sweet. And then we realized that there were quite a few other types, but the main problem was that mostly of those pitayas, they don't were self-fertile. And that was the reason I got very involved and tried to come up, improve, first of all, I want to improve the flavor,
Mm-hmm.
then make it sweet, tasty, then change the color, and then third one to try to be self-fertile. And that's the goals I was trying to achieve when I started working in pitayas 10 years ago. So I was trying to use always the Vietnamese pitaya, because that one is self-fertile, as a mother plant. So to be able to do that, I started doing the cross-pollination. I get the mostly the good one in that time was the Guatemala type, that was pink, that was developed by Paul Thomson. I used that one crossing with the Vietnamese type. You have to remember this, when you're going to do cross-pollination and you're going to do for hybridizing plants, you have to masculate the flower first. Masculating means castrating the flower. Take the male anthers out. So then when you put the pollen from the new plant that you want to hybridize into that stigma, the female part,
Mm-hmm.
you don't will have any other pollen to contaminate your project. So
Right.
once you do that, you put a paper sack on top, so then no bees, nobody will put any other pollen in there. So then you know exactly what you're crossing, that will be exactly what you're looking for. But remember, once you get the fruit out of that particular plant, the flower that you already cross-pollinated, you never will have identical to the father or to the mother. We'll have a combination of either one. So mostly it's luck how nice your new plants will be. Some of them will be more towards the mother, and other ones towards to the father. But mostly, when you start your project, remember the mother plant flower will put 60%, and the father will put almost 40%. So start from that base. Whatever experiment you want to do, just doing that.
Well, that's some excellent information, Edgar. So, dragon fruit really has come a long way, and we're very lucky to and privileged to be here with you today. And well, a lot of people ask, when they first want to get involved or they want to go into a hobby with dragon fruit, could you explain to the people who could be viewing this? Is it difficult to get into cultivating dragon fruit? Would you say it's relatively easy? What advice could you recommend to our viewers?
Well, growing pitahaya or dragon fruit is very easy. You know, you can start from cuttings or you can grow from seeds. When you grow from cuttings, you know exactly that you're going to get a clone of the original plant that you got for. When you start from seed, you might get different type of fruit, not identical to the parents. So I recommend you, if you are a novice and you just want to start growing in your backyard, and you don't want to be professional, growing a commercial, you can get in a 5-gallon pot, get a cuttings, but try to always get 3 different cuttings or 2 different cuttings. I mean, when I say cuttings, I specify that it has to be different type.
A different plant from a
Different
whole
plant,
different
no,
type variety.
different variety, because you can get 3 cuttings, but if they come from the same plant, when you're going to do cross pollination, it's not going to work.
Right.
So it's nice to have 2 at least or 3 types of different pitahayas. Then when the flower season comes, you can cross pollinate yourself, because some pitahayas they have to be hand pollinated. Because depends where you live, I live in Simi Valley, we don't have to match insects, all that stuff. But if you live in an area where there's a lot of humidity close to the ocean, then you are more lucky, because you are almost growing identical like in a semi-tropical weather. So you have humidity. The humidity is a big factor in pollination, because remember the flower opens at 8 o'clock in the night. It's a night blooming flower.
Right.
And closes at 8 o'clock in the morning. So for you to get the best results to pick up the pollen, is get the pollen at 8 o'clock in the night when the pollen is fresh. You can collect pollen, yes, with the scissors, cut the anthers out. Remember, the anthers is where the pollen is, the male part of the flower where the pollen is, and then you can save that in a jar of glass, and put it in the refrigerator. You can say the pollen will be fertile for 5 days, no more than that. Then you have to replace it. So then you can do pollination like that in that way. But if you have the Vietnamese type, you don't have to worry about that hand pollination or cross pollination natural. But depend of each individual, what you're looking for in your fruit. If you just look at pitahaya with a mild flavor, the Vietnamese is the best one. But if you want to go to the sweet at a different color, like example, look, this beautiful color in this one that comes normally, it comes from the Guatemala line. Look, that beautiful magenta color. Some people say like that. And this is one of the best ones in flavor, good flavor, sweet, and by luck, this is already hybridized so many times that it's a self-ferment. So some people, they prefer the white one, especially because if you are a diabetic, you want to eat that one because they don't have too much sugar. So it's good for the diabetic people to eat the white one. But if you want to have more antioxidants, you go more to the red ones, the ones come from Nicaragua, that they are deep red, and once they have deep red, they have more antioxidants. So some people prefer those for health purpose.
Right.
But remember, nothing, when we say health purpose, nothing is being proved. It's just theories that they say. It's up to you to find out yourself if it works out for you or don't. Another thing that pitahaya is good for is for your digestive system. Help you to go to the bathroom more easy. So if you have problem with That will help you. That
I've heard of, and I myself have tried it as well, that I actually have eaten some of the stems raw. I cut them up, I eat them in salad, and I've had no side effects, and it's really good for for the stomach, like you're saying. So I can testify to that it's not harmful, it works. And I can't remember where, because I do some research online, and I like to read articles usually from universities. And at one point in time, I came across an article, and I wish I would have saved it, because they were talking about how the fruit is a superfruit. We know that it's a superfruit, but also we shouldn't discard the cactus itself for having health benefits, like you just mentioned. So I'm sure in time, in the future, maybe even 5 years from now, or maybe even less, who knows? Maybe we'll get more knowledge, and maybe more studies can be done on how, in general, like we know that people in Asia actually eat the flower itself. They stir fry, or they'll eat it like a vegetable.
they make it soup.
Right, right.
Yes. Well, remember in Asia, this been growing. That plant's been growing for so many years. Here in America and United States, it's a brand new fruit, and mostly we going into these brand new fruits because pitahaya is a plant that don't need too much water, and with the drought season that we have, we water is so expensive. We're looking for the agriculture or for your backyard to have plants that they don't consume too much water. And pitahaya or dragon fruit is one of those plants that can be used for that purpose. We give you a good fruit, and tasty, and you can have your guests in your house and invite them for a dessert or whatever you want to do, and then impress your friends, whatever, with your fruit that you're growing. So it's a brand new fruit in the U.S. actually. We've been working almost 10 years. The university already has a big program. Ramiro Lobo has been pushing that project very well. So we're hoping that now farmers, they're going to start producing more and more this product, so then will be more popular, and then we'll be able to get into the markets. Because the way it is now, it's too expensive. One of those dragon fruits like this will cost you almost $12.
It's still up there, huh?
So we need this fruit to be able to go down to $4, because people can afford $4 more easy to buy a fruit, because $12 is too expensive. So hoping that now farmers, they're going to go start growing this more, the price is going to start going down, so everybody will know that they have a chance to taste this wonderful fruit.
And an advantage that this cactus has is that, we've seen a lot recently, and big farms that sometimes they need to use pesticides, herbicides. Usually, sometimes it's more so because of a monoculture, But what we've been actually noticing and discovering, and I'm sure you have tons of knowledge about this, is that this plant, you can actually grow it organically here in our area, or in Southern California. I myself grow it organically, and I haven't had the need to spray anything or for immediate pests. I'm talking about insects, right? What would you say about that?
Yes, actually, so far here in California, when we're talking about California, because you understand, pitahaya is growing here in the United States, mostly in Florida and California. Florida, they doing very well because the weather is similar to a semi-tropical climate. They have, because of the weather is warm, the insects, they will live longer, and then you can get pesticides coming into that. But in California, we are lucky because in winter we get so cold, so any insects that there was growing dies with the cold weather. So we are lucky that we don't have yet any pesticides that will attack the dragon fruit. So it's a plant that like you mentioned, that can be grown very easy. Using don't use chemicals, will be grow organic, and I recommend to grow organic. You can use in there in your pot, like I mentioned before, can be grown in 5-gallon pot, a cutting, and then you can put in there chicken manure. Chicken manure is very good because it has a lot of phosphorus, and then that will give you very good results for your plant.
Excellent.
Then if you have sometimes you will get in the leaves some brown spots. Don't worry about it because that's mostly from the humidity that we have in the nighttime, and that drop of water of humidity there in the leaf create a bacteria, and that is called fish eye. It's actually it's called. And you with your nail or with that little knife like that, you can take that little brown part, and it's safe. It's not, but then if that leaf looks more brown, more ugly, you just cut the leaf, throw them away, and then nothing's wrong with the plant. It's pitahaya is growing very well, very good in here in California.
Excellent.
You know.
And I see that you have some, I guess you would say, seedlings of dragon fruit. If maybe you could show us
yes.
that.
Well, the ones we've been talking about how to grow from cuttings. That is the most easy part. Growing from cuttings, you will have the fruit in 3 or 4 years. You will get the results of the fruit. But growing from seeds is when you start. Growing from seeds when you want to create new type of fruits, new type of plants, new type of you crossing the white one with the red, so you want to see what's going to come. So over here, example I have. When you get a fruit that you like it, you know, or it's been hand pollination by you, and to develop a new type of fruit, so you know what you cross it, then you cut the fruit, get the pulp of the fruit into a strainer in the kitchen, let it water run in there, and rub it with your fingers, and then the seeds will stay in the strainer. And then once only you have the seeds left, you put it in a newspaper like I'm doing here, and then you let it dry for 1 week. Then you with a knife you scrape the seeds out of that. They come out very easy, and then you plant it. Since you can make your own small greenhouse, you know, everybody has these plastic containers like when you buy pencils or you buy so many things, crackers, where they come with. You put a special soil mulch in there, you know, and you put the seeds in there, and you will have like your own greenhouse that the plants will grow in there. When they are young, they are very tender and very to the cold, susceptible to the cold weather. So in here they are protected, and you can put inside your house close to a window, like you see in here. You see they growing in here. I growing in here Frankish red close with condor. You know, wow. Condor is from the line of the Guatemalas. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be one of the best ones. So I cross those. So this one is already Frankish red with condor that is growing in there. Once they reach this stage, you wet the soil very good, and you pull the plant out. The plant will come out with a small chunk of dirt because it's very wet, so it's easy the plantain will break, and then you put it in a 1 gallon pot with that support, and then keep it inside for maybe or in a warm spot, and don't expose it to the sun too much till at least it's 1 year old. Once 1 year old start throwing big leaves, the leaves will become like this, like you see in here. See, in this case, this is from the Guatemala line that you can see that don't have too many thorns. You can put your fingers like that, going up, and you don't will harm yourself. No thorns that damage yourself. That's the way you know it's out from the Guatemala line. And mostly the Guatemala lines, they are pink. When I say pink, the color, I'm referring to the pulp, remember, because all the pitahayas, the skins are red, except the yellow one from Colombia, the Salinoceros megalanthus. But mostly the pitahayas, the skin is red, but inside the pulp is different. You have 3 types. You have the white pulp that comes mostly from the Vietnamese type, comes from the George is another white, then Undatus from California is another white. Mostly those, they are white and they are low in sugar, but George example is white, but it's very tasty, very sweet.
Excellent information, Edgar, and we'd want to actually talk more because it's always an interesting topic, but we're kind of running out of space here on this for this session. So I just want to say thank you, Edgar, for inviting us to your home and giving us an inside look, and thank you for all your contributions to the world of dragon fruit. It's been a pleasure, Mr. Edgar Valdivia. Thank you once again for having us here in your home in Simi Valley on this cool fall day. This is Project Pitaya saying happy dragon adventures, everybody.